Hi everyone. In this demo, we are going to see Google Cloud Anthos on AWS. So before moving to the demo part, let's understand the key component and terminology used in this particular technology. So first is Google Kubernetes engine. So this is basically core of any multi-cloud setup using Google Cloud Anthos. So whenever you want to set up some multi-cloud environment using Anthos, you should understand this particular concept called Google Kubernetes Engine, which is also called as Anthos cluster whenever we deploy the same offering, same Kubernetes offering given by Google Cloud in different cloud platform. So if you want the same Google Kubernetes engine in AWS, that particular cluster is called as Anthos clusters. Also, we'll see Anthos Fleet, what it is. Basically, this is a management console from where you handle this heterogeneous environment in the multi or hybrid cloud. So let's deep dig out into all these components. So Google Kubernetes Engine. So basically, this is a fully managed Kubernetes offering from Google Cloud, which is multi-zonal or regional cluster. It is having some kind of capability so that you can scale your nodes uh, automatically. So if whenever there is some high traffic in your cluster, in your workloads, it will automatically scale up, scale down. Also, it comes with auto upgrade offering because day-to-day life, new patches are coming into Kubernetes, right? So there is no such limitations over there that you should go to your cluster and upgrade. It already comes with auto upgrade feature. This is great actually. After that, we have node auto repair. So this kind of problem we majorly face in the industry that due to some issue your node gets down. Then what? You should go to your infrastructure and repair your node so that it can able to handle the traffic and serve your application. So Google Kubernetes engine by default comes with node auto repair, which will help you auto repair your nodes whenever there is some failure. Also, it is uh, tightly coupled with Google's integrated monitoring solution so that you can see what is happening behind the scene in the Google Kubernetes engine. Also, you can see that what is happening over there so that you can easily troubleshoot. So this is all about Google Kubernetes engine. This Google Kubernetes engine you can able to run with all these functionality in different cloud platforms. So if you want to host the same kind of Kubernetes cluster in AWS, you can able to do it. If you want the same thing in Azure or in your on premises, you can able to do it. And in those platforms, this is called as Anthos clusters. After that, one more concept we have is Anthos Fleet. Basically, this is the management platform for your heterogeneous environment. So as we are talking about multi or hybrid cloud, right? So in this kind of architecture, our applications, our infrastructure are present in different platforms, either in AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, or your on premises. So we require a single management platform from where we can manage, we can see what is happening over there in different cloud platform. So Anthos Fleet is the one which will help you achieve all these use cases. This will give you unified management. Using this, you can able to enforce the policies whatever you want in your heterogeneous environment. You can also synchronize your configurations. Also, this will give you a high level overview of what happening in your end-to-end infrastructure, which is present in hybrid or multi-cloud environment. So this is all about Anthos Fleet. So in the demo part, what we are gonna do in this particular demo part, we are going to deploy our Anthos cluster in the AWS environment, where Anthos cluster will utilize the infrastructure from AWS itself. So it will utilize some EC2 instances, some load balancers, so that it can able to configure the networking and all. And then after we'll configure our Anthos fleet so that it can able to communicate to the Anthos cluster, which is present in AWS. And this is how you can manage your cluster, which is present in AWS environment from Google Cloud itself, in the same way the way you manage your Google Kubernetes engine. So without any delay, let's get back to the demo part. So if you want to set up Anthos clusters on AWS environment, this is the official documentation you can go through, in which they have mentioned all the information related to what infrastructure are being deployed whenever you set up the Anthos cluster in AWS. So we are also gonna follow the same thing, where first we create one AWS VPC, and after that we'll create some private and public subnet in which our Anthos cluster will deploy their nodes. And after that we'll set up some connect gateway so that it can able to communicate with your Anthos cluster which is present in AWS environment, and we'll deploy one sample Nginx workload in that particular Anthos cluster. So let's go to our console.cloud.google.com. I just open the cloud cell. You can able to run this particular commands from anywhere. So I'm just clearing this. Okay. Okay. So I already provided credential related to AWS. So in my AWS account, I am having admin access, administrator, and I provided the credentials for the same in my cloud cell. You can able to use your own laptop or your local cell to execute these commands. So first, what you have to do, you first need to pull the code. So I already created Terraform for this. So I'm just going to Terraform on AWS Terraform. Oh, sorry. So just do cd. Okay. So here you can see I have three folders here: GKE on AWS, modules, and VPC. So first we'll create the VPC, and respective modules for this particular VPC Terraform code I am having here. Also for the GKE on AWS codes, native modules are present in this particular module. Okay. So let's go to the VPC first and let's see. So here you can see, able to see there are different files are present here. So if you ever worked on any enterprise infrastructure which are deployed using Terraform, you will see the same kind of structure over there, where you will found one backend.tf file, main.tf file, some output provided, terraform.tf, and variables.tf file. So basically what it means. So for the high level thing, backend.tf file is for define your remote state file storage location, so that whenever I do the Terraform apply command, all the state files related to this deployment are gonna store on this particular backend.tf file. In the main.tf file, I have defined all the parameters, like whatever VPC I wanted to create, what are the public subnets. So whatever I want to create, I just mentioned here in the main.tf file, which are referring to the main module, which I already saw just before this. So if I just do the cat backend.tf file, here you can see I have defined one GCS bucket. This is my bucket, and this is the location where my state files are gonna store. And after that, I am having output.tf file. So whenever I execute this particular Terraform code, all the will be displayed here. After that, I have provided a TF file in which I have defined that which are the provider I am working with. So currently I am working with AWS and GCP. So in the provider part, we have AWS and GCP over there. In the terraform.tfr file, we define all the values to the variables. So whatever variables I have defined, like var.vpc main is the variable, right? So this particular variable and their fields are getting values from this particular file, which is terraform.tf var file. So if I just do the cat of this file, you can able to see. So VPC main was my variable. Inside that, I defined VPC name, their CIDR ranges, whatever subnet I want, their names, and all those information are included here. So without any delay, let's deploy our Terraform code so that we can able to see. So first you should do the Terraform init. It will initialize all the plugins which are required. Okay, it's already installed. Just do the Terraform plan so that we can understand that what are the things are gonna deployed whenever I deploy this Terraform code. So here you can see 16 items are going to add, 0 to change. So whenever you go to the official documentation, okay, it is already mentioned over there that you should create all these things. And for that, they already have the manual steps and all. So first you should configure the ASM CLI, then create the VPC, KMS key, and all the processes are mentioned here. You can able to do this thing manually, but it takes lots of time and efforts, right? So to simplify this, I just created Terraform code for the entire process so that you can just provide some information and you can seamlessly create the infrastructure in one go. So let's go back to this and let's create the Terraform VPC. So just type the Terraform apply. Just provide the approval, and after a few minutes it will create our VPC. So before that, let's go to AWS console. Yeah. Oh, sorry, AWS management console. Just go back here. So meanwhile, this VPC is creating. Let's go to our AWS console. So here you can see in the EC2 part in the Mumbai region, there is no instances present here. But as I already explained from the official documentation, let's go back here. Okay, it will create some EC2 instance to deploy the Anthos cluster in the AWS environment. So as soon as we'll deploy Anthos on AWS, we'll see some EC2 nodes over there, which are part of our Anthos on AWS cluster. Okay, so currently we are creating some VPC and its subnet. So let's check that thing. So if I just click on VPC, right click and open new tab. Okay, so in the management console, you will see one demo VPC will be created because we already run that this Terraform command, which will created two subnets in this particular region, AP South 1A and in AP South 1B. VPC it created, that name is demo VPC, and these are the subnet information. These are the public subnet information, and these are the CIDR ranges and all. So let's validate this particular thing. So if I just go to VPC section, you can able to see demo VPC will be created here. You can perform this activity from your local laptop as well. I used Cloud Shell because Cloud Shell comes with lots of like commonly used software like Terraform. Helm is also over there, kubectl is also over there. So all these softwares are already installed in your Cloud Shell. That's why I'm using Cloud Shell, because otherwise I have to install these softwares, right? So demo VPC is created. If I just go inside this VPC, you will see the subnet and their NAT gateway and all those information are available here. So these are the components which we just created by applying the Terraform command. Okay, now we are good to go. So let's go back to our GKE on AWS module. So here you can see there are multiple files. Okay, and some files are already common to the previous module. So just like backend.tf, in which we define the our backend code, provider.tf, terraform.tf, var, and our main module. So I will provide the link. I will provide the link so that you can see all these files information. One file is new here, that is data.tf. Okay. So what is happening here, in this particular data.tf file, what we have defined a reference to our VPC. So if I just cat here, you can able to see I have defined one Terraform remote state, and that remote state is for the VPC. So this is the same backend bucket of my VPC which I created previously. from where this particular module is getting information related to whatever VPC we have created. Okay, so without any delay, let's deploy this. Before this, I just provide you some information related to what parameters I have defined. So I just provided my GCP project, one user. So basically, this Anthos cluster is going to deploy in AWS environment, but I am going to manage, I am going to handle this particular cluster from AWS environment from the management console called Anthos Fleet, right? So in the admin user section, I will define that who are the admins can able to log into that particular cluster. It's not like anyone who is having access can able to directly connect, because in the official documentation, if you see, all the communication, all the management is happening via this Anthos management layer. So you need to provide your identity using which it can able to authenticate yourself while executing any of the command. So this is very important that you should define your admin users, and other informations are very basic, like what GKE version, what Kubernetes version you want, what is the port size range, what is the machine type, and all those informations are included here. Okay, so let's apply our Terraform uh, init first so that it will install the plugins. Let's plan it. No need to plan because we can see the same output in the Terraform ply, or we know this code is working, right? Okay, so it is not taking. Okay, just hold on. Okay, all the modules are here. Let's do the Terraform plan. Okay, we are getting the same error. Okay, we have this TF log file in my bucket. That's why it is not providing me permission to execute this code. So let me quickly go to my bucket and delete this particular file so that I can execute. So just give me a moment. Uh, uh, uh. This is my bucket name. So sometime it happens when you reapply the command, right? Again and again, and it will freeze your state file so that you can't able to modify your state files very easily. And in that case, this is the troubleshooting step you can follow. You just go and delete this tf state log file, and then after you can able to create it. So this is done. I think most probably finger crossed I can able to execute now. This is running. Let's see. Yeah, this is working fine now. Okay, so two things it gonna add. Let's see why. First time do the Terraform destroy so that it will destroy the previous things. Let me check. It is already having some resources from my last deployment. So I'm just deleting all those deployments from last deployment. Okay, this is clear now. Now let's do the apply. So previously I tested this particular code. So I think those resources are left to delete. Okay, so if you see here from the starting, this is creating some IAM roles. it is creating some KMS keys, and then after you will see it will create some EC2 instances in which it will deploy your Google Kubernetes engine in AWS environment. So meanwhile, uh, this is executing. Let's go to the official documentation and see what are the things we are going to deploy. So first we created one VPC, some public subnets, some private subnets, and in that it is creating some nodes in which it will deploy your Anthos cluster on AWS. And then after for the authentication purpose and to configure the networking, it will create some net gateways, some load balancers and all. So this is the high level overview what is happening behind the scene. And if you just go to this complete the prerequisite section, you will see that it will ask you to create some VPC, some KMS key, which I already explained you. And after that, you will deploy your Kubernetes cluster in AWS. So let's wait for some time. Meanwhile, it is creating our cluster on AWS environment. So if you just go to your AWS environment and just refresh, you can able to see some EC2 instance are already created. After creation of this EC2 instance, in this Google Cloud API will install Google Kubernetes engine in these nodes so that it can become a Google Kubernetes engine control plane. And then after it will create some slave nodes in which our actual workload will deploy. So So this is the manual command you can use to create your Anthos clusters on AWS, where you should define all the information. But I highly suggest go with Terraform approach because it is very easy as compared to this manual thing. Because if you get into some error, right, or if you want to remove the entire infrastructure in one go, you can't able to achieve with this manual approach. You should go and delete each and every resource which you created by manually. Okay, so I think this will take around 10 to 12 minutes. So let's wait till. So Anthos on AWS having two kind of flavor. So as Google's Kubernetes service is very uh, good actually as compared to other platforms. That's why people want to use the same kind of flexibility in their environment. And after that, they want to utilize different resources which are provided by that particular cloud. So let's suppose I am deploying my Anthos cluster in AWS, and after deployment of this particular cluster, you can utilize your different AWS resources in the integration with that Anthos cluster close. So this is how you are going to manage your cluster from, but it is utilizing AWS. And then after, if you want, you can create one more cluster or one more workloads in Google Cloud itself, and you can manage both the environment from a single plane that is called as Anthos Fleet. So this is how you can set up the multi-cloud environment using Anthos. So this will take around 10 to 15 minutes. Let's see. So meanwhile, I am fast forwarding this particular video so that you can get into the result part. Okay, it is executing. So Okay, so our AWS control plane is ready. Now it is creating node pool so that we can deploy our workloads over there. So meanwhile it is creating our node pool, let's go to the Anthos fleet and let's see it is already visible over there or not. So just search for Anthos overview. Okay, in your console.cloud.google.com. So here you can see there are okay, there are some specifications are provided here related to clusters. So this is the overview page. If I just go to clusters, so this is the fleet actually. So fleet is more like your management platform. So if you want to have a different fleets in the same platform, like many times what happens if we work for a big organization where they have different business units. So in that case, might be chances that we need to logically separate our clusters which are present in heterogeneous environment in different groups. So in that case, might be chances that you should have uh, more than one fleet over there. But here we just have the one fleet. And if I just go to the cluster page, here you can see it is its agent is not connected yet, but it is already registered here. So as soon as this process will complete, which we executed, yeah, now it's done. And if I just refresh this page, hmm, okay, I think it is taking some time to populate. So this process is done. So here you can see one command is over there so that we can connect to our cluster and see. So I just, so this is the same as we connect to our GKE cluster. Whenever we go to our GKE cluster, it will give you one connect command. So in the same manner, you can, using this utility called hub membership, you can able to connect to your clusters which are present in heterogeneous environment, either AWS or Azure. Okay. So if I just do the kubectl get nodes, so here you can see I am using kubectl utility to connect to the cluster. So here you can see this is my node name and this is the version which I provided previously. So all the informations are already present here. Okay. Uh, just go to overview again. Why this is giving me error? Okay, now my cluster is in healthy state. All the information related to our demo GK cluster, which is present in AWS environment, are already provided here. If I just go to the cluster section, you can able to see the cluster. So currently I'm only having one cluster, which is present in AWS. Might be chances, or whenever you work on any big organization, there are lots of cluster which are gonna register in this particular platform, and information related to that particular cluster will be visible here. So here you can see this is the demo cluster which we just deployed. This cluster is from AWS and this is type of cluster of Anthos because we deployed Anthos cluster on AWS. Sometimes what happens if you already having your workload in EKS cluster, which are native solution from AWS, you can able to register that particular cluster in this particular platform. So in that case, it will only show AWS because that cluster is from AWS itself. But currently, we have deployed Google Cloud offering in AWS side. Okay. So if I just hit enter here, you can able to see all the details. So this cluster is Anthos cluster, which is present in AWS environment. This is the control plane IP. What are the memory and CPU configurations we have? All are provided here. You can click on this more section so that you can see more details related to the same. I think my network is a little bit slow today. So yeah, here you can see all the information. So if you see here, this is the endpoint. So whenever we deploy any load balancer in AWS, it will come with URL like this: Elastic Load Balancer, the reason, and AWS, Amazon AWS.com, something like that. So here also you can see the same kind of URL for the endpoint of your cluster, and all the resources in AWS are referenced to some ARN number. So this is also available here. Okay. So now let's go back and see how you can utilize different features of Anthos. So just click here, just go back. Here you can see all the features are mentioned here. Some are available, some are disabled, and all those informations are available here. So if you just go to this feature management section in the left corner, you can directly able to just click on enable, and it will enable that particular feature to you. So there are lots of features available with Anthos. So if you want to set up some CI/CD with security enforcement, you can able to use this config management feature. If you want to route the traffic across the cluster, which are present in different platforms, you can use Ingress. Service Mesh is amazing feature to see your end-to-end uh, topology, end-to-end structure of your application. Also, there are some additional features. So if you want to deep dig out into each and every feature offered by Anthos, just go through the link to the blog mentioned in the description part. And also, after enabling these features, you can able to manage those features from here. Okay, so now let's deploy our sample Nginx pod so that we can see that how you can manage your cluster, which is present in AWS from Google Cloud itself. Just search for GKE, or let's go to the cluster part and go to GKE, more details. Okay, here it is already populating for with all the information. Okay, if I just go to Google Kubernetes engine here. Okay, so here you can see I have two cluster. One is native from my Google Cloud itself, and one cluster is from Anthos, which is present in AWS environment. So in this particular cluster, I'm going to deploy one sample Nginx workload. So the way I deploy in Google Kubernetes engine, I'm going to apply the same thing. So this cluster is already selected here. In the default namespace I want to deploy. So before doing this, I just wanted to show you that there is nothing present in this default namespace. So if I just do the kubectl get pods in my default namespace, right? So okay, so here you can see there is nothing, but I'm going to deploy one workload here. So just click on deploy. You can use your customized container to deploy. I'm just using the sample one, which is Nginx. After that, click on done, continue. Configuration is good for us. Okay, here you have to choose your Anthos cluster. So our cluster is demo GKE on AWS, right? Just hit enter. Yes, I want to expose this application on port 80. Click on deploy. So in the same manner, the way you manage your Google Kubernetes engine, you are managing your cluster which is present in AWS environment. And this is how you can work on multi-cloud environment using Anthos. So after a few minutes, as soon as this get deployed, you will see some workloads in our default namespace. Okay, service to be ready. Okay, this is deployed. And here you can see all the information. So this is the cluster in which this is deployed. Namespace is default, and some other informations are mentioned here. And this is the load balancer using which it is export. And here, one thing you should notice that I have deployed one load balancer so that I can expose this particular application. This is utilizing AWS environment, not the GCP one, because it is present in AWS. So whenever you deploy any load balancer in AWS, it will give you some URL like this called elv.amazonaws.com, something like that. So in the same manner, we are utilizing the infrastructure from AWS, but we are managing this from Google Cloud. So if I just hit the same link, here you can see 3 pods of my Nginx is already deployed. If I want to see the service, I can able to see. Using kubectl, here you can see the same URL, which is exposed on 80, and the same URL you can able to see here. So if I just click here, you can able to see the sample Nginx page, which is deployed from Google Cloud in AWS environment. So this is how you can configure hybrid or multi-cloud environment using Anthos. So if you have some cluster in Azure or some in your on-premises, in this way, you can register your cluster in the same fleet, in the same platform, and from this platform, you can able to manage. Also, you can able to see that what is happening over there inside your cluster. So yeah, so this is all for today. So see you in the next demo. Bye bye.